नमो ओं विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, I hope all you are doing well. Today we will be reading from the Krishna book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, from the chapter 9. The topic of the chapter is Mother Yaśodā binds Lord Krishna. Mother Yaśodā bind Lord Krishna. So this is our today's topic. Uh, so before we begin, let's pray first, then we will start. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृतं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततं जयमुदीरये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी प्रश्चात्तरिषितारिणे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Okay, so let's begin. Please listen very carefully. I am reading on behalf of you. If you don't listen carefully, then I have no meaning, you know, to share with all of you. I have no meaning of reading and share the entire work with all of you. Please listen very carefully. Once upon a time, Once upon a time, saying that her maidservant was engaged in different household duty, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter. And while she churned butter, she sang the childhood pastime of Krishna and enjoyed thinking of her son. The end of her sari was tightly wrapped while she churned, and on account of her intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped from her breast, which moved as she labored very hard, churning with two hands. The bangle and bracelet on her hand twinkled as they touched each other, and her earring and breast shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garland which was on her head scattered here and there. Before these picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to intense his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, and then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda took her son and Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth. And while Krishna was sucking the milk, she was smiling, enjoying the beauty of her child face. Suddenly, the milk, which was on the stove, began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became very angry, and his lip and eyes became red in rage. He pressed his teeth and lip, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it and, with false tear in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in scheduled place. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after sitting that overflowing milk pan is ordered. She saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought the child was very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place, fearing punishment. After she shot all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding motor, which was kept upside down. He was taking butter from a pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkey. He saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she was slightly approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming towards him with a stick in her hand. He immediately got down from the grinding motor and began to flee in fear. Mother Yasoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture Supreme Personality Godhead, who is never approached even by the meditation of great yogi. In other words, the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, who is never caught by the yogi and the speculator, was playing just like a little child for such a great devotee as a Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the first running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. Still, she tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosened, and the flower in her hair kind of fell to ground. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He smears his hand over his eyes, which were anointed with black eye cosmetic. The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless from fear. Mother Yasoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit, she wanted to allay his fear. Being the topmost well-wisher of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I do not know what will happen to him. Mother Yashoda then threw away her stick. In order to punish him, she thought to bind his hand with some rope. She did not know it, but it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality Godhead. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know that the child had no limitation. There is no inside outside of him, nor beginning, no end. Nor beginning or end. He is unlimited and all pervading. Indeed, he is himself the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child, although he is beyond the reach of all senses. She endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar, but when she tried to bind him, she found that the rope was using was too short by 2 inches. She gathered more rope from the house and added to it, but still she found the same shortage. In this way, she connected the rope available at home, but the final knot was available at home. But when the final knot was added, she saw that rope was still 2 inches too short. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished how was it happening. In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother, and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the rope. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yaśodā, was performing his own selected pastime. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgot his own position of surrender. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda. Krishna is a supreme bestower of all kind of liberation to his devotee. But benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or Lord Goddess of Fortune. The Supreme Personality Godhead, who is known as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, is never so completely known to the yogi and speculator, but he is easily available to his devotee, nor he is appreciated as the supreme reservoir of all pleasure by yogi and the speculator. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. At the time, bound up to the wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him, which were known as Arjuna tree, the great reservoir of pleasure. Lord Krishna thus thought to himself, Mother Yashoda first of all left without feeding me sufficient meal, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the soaked butter in the charity to the monkey. Now she has bound me up to a wooden mortar, so I shall do something more mischievous than before. Then thus he thought of pulling down the two very tall Arjuna tree. There was a history behind the pair of Arjuna tree. In their previous life, the tree was born as a human son of Kubera, and their name was Nalkubir and Manigriva. Fortunately, they came within they came within the vision of the Lord. Fortunately, they came within the vision of the Lord. In their previous life, they were cursed by the great sage Narada in order to receive the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna. This benediction curse was bestowed upon them because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. This story will be narrated in the next chapter. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport of ninth chapter of Krishna, Mother Yashoda bind Lord Krishna. Now let's jump to into the insight. We have made a separate video and audio presentation, and we are attaching this audio and video presentation with the original one. So please watch till the end and you will get the better insight. Although this is a kind of story, there is a nothing more inside, but still we will understand better. Hare Krishna, and thank you very much to all of you.
Okay, let's dive into one of the most charming and honestly, one of the most profound stories ever told. It's about a mother, her very mischievous little boy, and a rope that just seemed to defy all logic. It's a tale that, through a simple little scene at home, really explores the very nature of divinity. The story kicks off with this incredibly powerful image of just pure, overwhelming motherly love. This isn't just poetic language, it's the key that unlocks this entire story. We're leading Mother Yaśodā, and her love for her son is so potent, so unconditional, that it literally manifests physically. So, I want you to picture this. It's this beautiful, peaceful, domestic scene. Yaśodā is churning butter, but she's not just, going through the motions. As she's working, she's actually singing songs about all of Krishna's little childhood adventures. Her work is her meditation. It's an act of pure love. And, right on cue, the object of all this affection, her son Krishna shows up, hungry and wanting her attention. And here's the moment that kicks everything off, something any parent can totally relate to. A simple household problem. Yaśodā has to choose her crying child or the pot of milk boiling over on the stove. so she gently puts Kṛṣṇa down and rushes to save the milk, a decision that is about to set a truly divine drama in motion. So Kṛṣṇa gets left alone, and he feels neglected. His hunger and his desire for his mom's attention, well, they quickly turn into a very, very human-like anger. We're not talking about the calm, detached reaction of some supreme being here. Nope. This is a full-on child's tantrum, and it's about to get really messy. Just look at how this all plays out. First, he gets visibly angry, his little lips and his eyes turn red. Then he picks up a stone and smashes the very butter pot his mother was working so hard to fill. After grabbing the butter, he runs off to eat it, but here's the best part. The scripture says he has false tears in his eyes. He's already getting his alibi ready. He's not acting like a god. He's acting like a very clever, very naughty little boy. Yaśodā gets the milk situation under control. She comes back, and she finds the broken pot. The search for the little culprit doesn't take very long. She finds Kṛṣṇa sitting on this big, overturned wooden grinding mortar. And he's not just eating the butter himself. He's generously sharing the loot with the local monkeys. I mean, the evidence is pretty undeniable. He is caught red-handed. So Kṛṣṇa sees his mother coming, stick in hand, and he does what any kid would do. He runs for it. But this is not just any chase. This moment is absolutely packed with a deep cosmic paradox that's about to reveal what's really going on here. And this is where the story just kind of blows your mind. Look at the contrast here. On the one hand, you've got this little boy running away in fear, totally aware that he did something wrong. But on the other hand, we're reminded that this is the supreme being. This is someone that the greatest mystics, these yogis, can't even get close to after years and years of intense meditation. And yet here he is, running from his mom. Yaśodā is described as being tired. Her hair is coming undone. She's exhausted, but she does not give up. Her pure, love-fueled determination, let's call it mom power, succeeds where the greatest spiritual quests fail. She, a simple mother, actually catches the Lord of the entire universe. Now, when she catches him, she sees the genuine fear in Kṛṣṇa's eyes, and her heart just melts. She throws away the stick. She doesn't want to hurt him. She just wants to teach him a little lesson. So she decides she'll just tie him to the very mortar he was sitting on, just to keep him out of trouble for a bit. But she's about to stumble into a totally impossible, mind-bending mystery. And this, right here, is the central question of the whole story. It's fantastic. How do you do it? How do you bind a child who is, by definition, unlimited? Yaśodā sees her little boy, but what she's attempting to do is tie a knot around infinity itself. So she takes her rope, she wraps it around Kṛṣṇa and the mortar, and she goes to tie the knot. But it's just a little too short, by exactly 2 inches. Okay, she probably thinks, simple problem. I just need a longer rope. So she goes and gets another piece of rope and adds it on, tries again. Still too short. Now she's probably getting a little confused. So she gathers more ropes, and then more. Pretty soon she has collected and tied together every single piece of rope in the entire house. And this is the central miracle of the story. It's brilliant. Even with this one massive rope made from all the ropes in the house, when she goes to tie that final knot, it is still exactly 2 inches too short. I mean, can you imagine her astonishment? How is this even possible? So how does this impossible situation finally get resolved? It's pretty clear that a physical solution, like just getting a longer rope, is never going to work. The answer has to be something else entirely. Kṛṣṇa is watching his mother this whole time. He sees her struggling, sweating, her hair all messy, just completely exhausted from this effort to tie him up. And in that moment, seeing the sheer depth of her hard work and her love, he feels compassion for her. So here it is, the big reveal. The rope never got long enough. Kṛṣṇa simply allowed himself to be bound. He wasn't overcome by the rope. He was overcome by his mother's relentless, pure love. He surrendered to her devotion. This one moment defines such a profound spiritual truth. The Supreme isn't controlled by force or power, or even by just understanding things with their intellect. Instead, the divine actually finds joy, a transcendental pleasure, in surrendering to the selfless, loving efforts of a true devotee. And just to put her achievement into cosmic perspective, the story says that this intimate relationship she was granted, it was a blessing so huge that even the great creator gods, like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, had never experienced it. Her simple maternal love put her in a class all by herself. So, after this incredible series of events, the chase, the mischief, the impossible rope, what's the big lesson hidden in those knots? What are the profound truths packed into this charming story? Well, the core message is crystal clear. Love is the ultimate force. Yaśoda's heartfelt effort, her hard work, it achieved what the most intense spiritual practices couldn't. It shows us that the divine isn't some distant, abstract thing. It's something that actually finds joy in personal, loving relationships. It makes itself easily available to its devotees, but stays just out of reach for those who only try to figure it all out with their minds. But the story doesn't quite end there. After Yaśodā goes back to her chores, Kṛṣṇa is left all alone, tied to this heavy wooden mortar. But he's not upset. Instead, his eyes land on these two massive trees in the courtyard, and you can just tell that the mischievous little boy is already hatching a new plan. And that leaves us with this final, tantalizing thought. He allowed himself to be bound by pure love, but that mischievous spirit is clearly still alive and well. So the question is, what in the world was he planning to do now, with a giant wooden mortar tied to his waist and two huge trees in his sights? Well, that is a story for another time.
Now we completed the video presentation. Let's begin with audio podcast.
Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. We love digging into sources, finding those unexpected insights. And today we're jumping into a really timeless story from ancient texts. You've probably heard of it. Mother Yaśodā binds Lord Kṛṣṇa. Yeah, and this isn't just, some dusty old tale. We've got this incredibly rich source, really detailed. It brings together this amazing mix of, like, intense motherly love, some divine mischief, which is always fun, and actually some super deep spiritual ideas. So our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to really explore it, see what it tells us about devotion, maybe the nature of the divine itself, and honestly, just raw human emotion. It's all in there. You might think you know it, but let's see if we can find some new angles.
Absolutely. What's so compelling about this one is how a story you see pictured everywhere, how it unpacks these layers of philosophical depth. We really want to pull out those core insights, show you how this ancient text speaks really directly to, unconditional love and maybe the kind of paradoxical ways the divine interacts with us. Could be some real aha moments here. Might change how you see things.
Definitely. So let's really paint the picture. Where does the story even start? It's not some grand heavenly setting. It's actually really down to earth. We find Mother Yaśodā, and she's not, acting like a queen. She's churning butter herself. And the source gives us these incredible details. She's totally absorbed, right? But not just in the churning. She's thinking about her son, Kṛṣṇa, singing about his childhood games. Her heart's just overflowing with love. It's almost like you can feel it. And the description is so vivid. You can almost see her. Her saris wrapped tight for the work, her bangles, her bracelets. They're tinkling while she churns. It mentions the effort. Her earrings are shaking. She's perspiring. Flowers from her hair are falling. And maybe the most striking thing, because her love is so intense, milk is literally dripping from her breasts automatically. What do these details, these really human, almost physical descriptions, tell us? Why start there?
Oh, that's crucial. It's not just scene setting. It shows her devotion isn't some abstract idea. It's physical. It's grounded. It's an act of, pure selfless love. It really highlights the depth of her affection before anything else even happens. This isn't just a chore. It's someone totally lost in divine love, and it's manifesting physically. That connection, that deep personal bond, it's the bedrock. It establishes her unique relationship with Kṛṣṇa right from the start. It kind of prepares us for how the divine is going to respond to that kind of love.
Right. And then, bam, into this scene of pure maternal focus walks Kṛṣṇa. And he shows up not as, the supreme lord of the universe, but as a kid, a hungry kid.
Yeah.
And he makes it pretty clear, Mom, stop churning, feed me now. The butter can wait, basically. And Yaśodā, she reacts exactly like you'd expect any loving mom would. She just stops, takes him onto her lap, starts feeding him, and she's just looking at him smiling, enjoying how beautiful her child's face is. It's this perfect, sweet moment.
But then, life happens, right? The mundane world interrupts. There's milk on the stove, and suddenly it starts boiling over. So Yaśodā, being practical, puts Kṛṣṇa aside pretty quickly to deal with the spill. She rushes off. And this mundane little event, it becomes this fascinating turning point. It kind of raises the question of priorities, connection versus duty, maybe. And Kenny's reaction isn't just childish. It tells us something else.
Oh, yeah. His reaction is intense. The text says he gets very angry, like really angry. His lips, his eyes, they turn red. He's pressing his teeth and lips together. And then, totally deliberately, he grabs a stone and smash, breaks the butter pot. I mean, think about that. The Supreme Lord having what looks exactly like a toddler's temper tantrum. What's really going on there?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? On the surface, yeah, total tantrum. But underneath, it's maybe less about simple anger and more about his desire for that connection to be absolute. His attention is paramount. And his next move shows he's not just, losing it. He smashes the pot, scoops up some butter, and the text says, with false tears in his eyes. Then he goes off to eat it somewhere secluded. He's clearly trying to look innocent, avoid getting caught right away. It's mischief, but it's calculated mischief.
False tears. Okay. So Yaśodā comes back, sees the broken pot, and she knows instantly, right? It was Kṛṣṇa, but her reaction is amazing. She smiles. She thinks, wow, the child's very clever, broke the pot and then vanished, probably afraid I'd punish him. So there's no immediate anger from her. It's more like she gets him.
Exactly. It speaks volumes about their bond. She knows his tricks. She understands his nature. She even seems to find a certain, affection in his naughtiness. That smile is an annoyance. It's recognition. It shows that for her, he's not this distant, terrifying God. He's her kid, her beloved, mischievous son she can chase and, yes, scold. This personal, direct relationship. That's everything in this story.
Okay, so she starts looking for him. And the scene where she finds him is just classic. He's sitting on this big, overturned wooden grinding mortar, those heavy things. And he's reaching up to a pot of butter hanging from the ceiling, like on a swing. And here's the best part. He's not just eating it, he's feeding monkeys. But he's also looking around, glancing fearfully, like he knows he's busted. And the second he sees Yaśodā coming towards him, stick in hand, whoosh, he jumps down and runs for it. The chase is on. And the description of Yaśodā chasing him is quite something. It says her waist is thin, but her body is, heavy. She's running hard. Her hair comes loose. Flowers fall out. She's getting tired. But she is determined. She keeps going until somehow she catches him. It's this really strenuous, loving pursuit.
It really is. And that chase, it perfectly highlights this amazing paradox, doesn't it? You have the supreme personality of Godhead, the one who, great yogis meditate for lifetimes just to get a glimpse of, the one philosophers can't grasp with their minds. And here he is, running away from his mom like any kid who stole cookies, letting her chase him, letting her catch him. It's a physical proof that you don't connect with the absolute through power or smarts. It's through love, pure devotion. That's the real insight.
So she catches him, and the text says he's almost crying. He's rubbing his eyes, smearing the coal, looking totally scared. And Yaśodā sees this fear, and being his ultimate well-wisher, she worries, maybe she's scaring him too much. So she actually throws the stick away. But she still thinks, okay, lesson learned. She decides she's going to tie his hands with some rope, just to punish him a little. And this is where things get truly bizarre. Impossible, really. She tries to tie him up. She gets a rope. Too short. She gets another rope. Adds it on. Still too short. She gathers every single piece of rope in the house, ties them all together, and when she goes to tie the final knot, it's still short by exactly 2 inches. She's apparently smiling at how weird this is, but also just completely astonished. How can this be happening? What does this 2-inch mystery mean?
The 2-inch mystery. That's the absolute core of the spiritual teaching here, I think. See, Yaśodā is seeing him as her son, her tiny child. What she's not quite grasping in that moment is his true nature, that he's unlimited, all-pervading. He literally is everything. He has no limits, no inside or outside, no beginning or end. The whole universe is in him. So her trying to tie him up and the rope always being just that much too short is this perfect illustration that you cannot bind the Supreme Lord with material things, with effort alone. It doesn't matter how much rope you have, how hard you try. The infinite can't be contained by the finite. It's a physical demo of a huge spiritual truth.
Wow, okay. And Yaśodā, trying to do this impossible task, she's just wiped out. She's sweating, her flower garland's fallen off, she's given it absolutely everything. And then comes the real turning point. It's not her effort that works in the end. The source says very clearly, Kṛṣṇa saw how hard his mother was working. He appreciated the hard labor of his mother, and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to be bound up by the ropes. So it was his choice, his compassion, not her strength. He allows himself to be bound by her love.
Exactly. And that is the profound spiritual point, the ultimate aha moment. Nobody, absolutely nobody, can control the Supreme through material means or intense meditation or, brilliant philosophy. But he takes, it says, transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. He enjoys being cared for, being loved like this. And this specific blessing, this intimate surrender to pure love, says even huge figures like Lord Brahma, the creator, or Lord Shiva, or even Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, they never got this. Yogis don't get it. Speculators don't get it. It just shows the unbelievable almost unimaginable power of pure, selfless devotion. It's the ultimate divine response to unconditional love.
Incredible. So he's finally tied to this big wooden mortar. And while Yaśodā is busy with her household stuff, Kṛṣṇa sees these two huge trees, Arjuna trees. And you can just see the wheels turning. He starts thinking about everything that just happened, being left for the milk, breaking the pot, feeding the monkeys, getting tied up. And he decides, okay, now I need to do something more mischievous than before. His plan. Use the mortar he's tied to pull down those massive trees.
Right. And it seems like just more naughtiness, but there's another layer here too. It's divinely orchestrated. Those trees, they actually have a backstory. In previous lives, they were these celestial guys, Nalakuvra and Mankiva, sons of the treasure of the gods, Kuverta. But they got arrogant, intoxicated, and were cursed by the sage Narada to become trees. Seems bad, right? But the curse actually turned into the biggest blessing possible, because it meant they would eventually get to see Lord Kṛṣṇa directly right there in Vrindavan. So it foreshadows this whole other story of redemption, how even a curse can lead to grace. But yeah, that's probably a deep dive for another time.
Wow. Okay, so let's wrap this up. What does this whole amazing journey mean for us listening now? We went from this really intimate domestic scene of motherly love through all this divine mischief, this impossible chase, and then this unbelievable surrender of the infinite Lord to just pure love.
Yeah, the takeaways are pretty huge, I think, and kind of revolutionary, actually. First, it's just the sheer power of pure, selfless devotion. It creates a connection that nothing else, not power, not intellect, not austerity, can achieve. Second, it shows how the divine isn't necessarily distant. It can become incredibly accessible, intimately involved through love. It reveals this paradox, right? The Supreme Lord acting in these very human ways. He's unlimited, yet he lets himself be bound, all through love. It really makes you rethink what power or control even means in a spiritual sense.
Right, and that leaves us, maybe leaves you, with a final thought to mull over. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead can literally be bound by a mother's love, and if something like a curse can actually turn into the greatest blessing, then what things in your own life, maybe ordinary interactions, maybe challenges, what might they hold? What unexpected, maybe profound, maybe even divine potential could be waiting there if you looked at them with a really open heart, a fresh perspective, something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us today.